Okay, good afternoon YouTube and welcome back to Phatkat Collections. And today I just want to do another discussion video, and this is going to be a short video discussing one feature of a watch. I'm going to do a couple of these, and because I've heard a lot of guys when they review watches and they talk about this, I have to give my opinion about this. And I want to show you guys 7 different watches that I have in 7 different price points, showing you guys what the bezel looks like and sounds like and feels like on these watches. And some guys have compared and used this as a gauge for the quality of a watch. And it's an asinine way to gauge the quality of a watch. I mean, it really is. I mean, some guys, I've watched one guy review them, and he says he compared 2 watches, and he compared, I believe it was a Rolex and maybe a homage watch, right? And he turned the bezel. He's like, this just, you can hear the sound. It's a difference. It really annoyed me because I'm like, man, you cannot tell if you didn't know which watch was what and you didn't know anything about those watches. There's no way that you're going to be able to say, oh, well, this bezel feels better. Because these, I'm going to show you 7 watches in 7 way different price points and give you guys my honest opinion. Now, this is an indication of whether or not you should buy the watch based on this factor. You should buy a watch based on, do you like the watch? How's it going to make you feel when you're wearing it? Is it something you're going to want to share with people? Is it something you're going to be happy to have in your collection? Is it something that's going to last, you know? I mean, that's always a factor based on how much you pay, okay? And, you know, really, ultimately, whether you like it or not. You know, when you're wearing a watch or whatever when you decide to get ready in the morning, how you comb your hair, you know, whether you have a beard or not, whatever you decide to do to accessorize yourself, it's an indication of your personality. And I think you should always take pride in how you look and try to highlight your attributes the best you can, okay? And so I think a watch for a man is a great addition. I think that, I'll always have a watch on my wrist. And I think it's just a nice accessory. It speaks about your personality, I think, And it's a great thing to collect, okay? And so let's start with a couple different watches here. I'm going to go ahead and start with, you guys have all heard of this, the Invicta Grand Diver, okay? And again, all these watches I'm going to show you have a unidirectional rotating bezel. Now, when I feel the Grand Diver, I wiggle the bezel, okay? I turn it. I'll let you guys hear it, okay? That's what it sounds like. All right. And so there is no... It turns, it's easy to turn, not super easy. It takes a little bit of effort, Now, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to gauge that on here, but it's not something you really you don't have to force it. That's not, that's ridiculous. But it turns with ease. It has some nice clicks to it. Okay? It feels like a unidirectional rotating bezel. This watch ranges from about 120 bucks all the way up to about, it can go up to about $3 or $4 depending if you get one with stones, but the average price in this is going to be about $150 to $200, okay? Again, automatic movement, beautiful watch, okay? Grand Diver. Next one I want to show you is another Invicta watch, and this one here is I'm not even sure which one it is. This is an Invicta Specialty collection here, and this one here is one of your very inexpensive models, and I just want to Google it. My coworker was such a nice guy. He was like, man, I don't even wear it. I know you like Invicta. Do you want to have it? I said, man, keep that for yourself. He was nice enough to give me this watch. I mean, this is more of the entry-level, more affordable watch by Invicta, and they make a huge, broad spectrum. And so when a lot of you guys, maybe have had a bad experience with an Invicta watch, you might be referencing one of these inexpensive ones. And yeah, when you compare these two, okay, the Grand Diver and this one here, you do feel a little bit of a difference. The Grand Diver has more weight, but you are dealing with an automatic Seiko movement. The size is a little bit different, of course, but by no means do I pick this watch up and say, man, that's a shitty watch. No means. I'm like, okay, you can feel that you can turn the bezel. The bezel turns with ease. There is still no play. It turns a lot easier. Here's what it sounds like. It turns much easier than the Grand Diver does. But, it doesn't wiggle. There's a little bit, tiny bit of play if you wiggle it back and forth. On the Grand Diver, that one's pretty solid. Doesn't move at all. Let's go ahead and check current price on this here. This is model number 5249. Now, I've never actually looked this up. Let's see what we got here. 5249 Invicta. And let's see if anybody has it. Looks like they might have it on Amazon. All right, so here it is on Amazon, and let's see if, oh, currently unavailable. All right, but here's a comparable model. This one is 5240. Oh no, there it is. They have it here. Here it is. Different listing here. Just unavailable through Invicta directly. All right, so this watch right here, $63.99. I mean, all stainless steel. I mean, screw down case back. Doesn't have a screw down crown, but I mean, the quality of this for $63 is amazing. I mean, you want to compare this to one of the other watches I reviewed the other day, like by Limitless or Elliott Havoc, that are charging $100, $150. I mean, this is a night and day difference, okay? $63. Stainless steel Invicta watch, okay? All right, so let's move on to another one here. Right here, here's an Aqua Dive. Okay, you turn the bezel on this. About the same amount of wiggle room as your, I would say same amount of wiggle room as your $63 watch. Again, not an indication of quality. It's how they manufacture the bezel. Here's what it sounds like. It turns with ease. It turns with, I'd say, about the same amount of ease as your the Invicta one I just showed you, right? All right, so this watch here, $1,900, okay, for your Aqua Dive bathyscaphe. Beautiful watch, okay? But this is, you're going to pay $1,900 this watch. ETA automatic movement, which is going to be, I guess ETA tends to make a little higher end movements, but I mean, compared to your Grand Diver, okay, they're both very, very nice watches. They're both made of the same stainless steel. They both have screw down case backs. The only difference is styling and the movement on these here. Again, the Invicta does have a flame fusion crystal. That's something Invicta uses. This has a sapphire crystal. All right, so both have no scratches in them, okay? All right. Next thing I'm going to show you is an Aragon watch. Here is one of the Silver Jets. This is what the bezel sounds like. You getting that? All right. No wiggling in the bezel at all. It's very, very tight. Harder to turn. This is more comparable to the, I guess, the amount of effort it takes to turn the Grand Diver bezel. A little more snug. This is a beautiful watch. I mean, I love Aragon. I mean, fantastic. I mean, and I'm not going to, again, go into detail. Automatic NH35 Seiko movement. All 316 stainless steel. Amazing designs of Aragon. Big, chunky, heavy. You can get this for $150. I mean, amazing what Aragon gives you for the money. I mean, absolutely astonishing. All right, so let's move on here. Let me just screw this crown down here. Well, let's move on. Here's a Invicta watch, another Invicta watch. No, let's go over this one here. This is a Delta T company I've been working with. They sent me 3 watches already. I love their product. They make some really awesome style dive watches. Here it is. Here's what the bezel sounds like. This is their new one called the Heavy Armor with these plates. You can. I'm going to do another video next week. They're sending me some new plates. I can change the color out and customize it a little more. But here's what the bezel sounds like. Turns with ease. Easier to turn than the. This is more equivalent, I would say, to. Let me compare it to the. Yeah, more equivalent in the amount of effort it takes to the Aqua Dive. It has more of a snappier sound to it. A little bit of play, just like the Aqua Dive, tiny bit. Again, no indication of quality. This one will run you about $650. Beautiful watch, made to automatic movement, awesome. Love Delta T. All right, but I'm just showing you what you get. Okay. Again, when I feel this next to the Invicta watch, I don't say, okay, well, this one here just feels way better made. They both are very, very nice watches. All right, so let's go on to another Invicta watch. Here's this bad boy. You guys have seen this one. I've been talking about that one for a couple weeks. Sea Hunter 3, one of my most favorite Invicta watches. I mean, just a chunk. I mean, here's a 50mm Aragon compared to it. I mean, it just, I mean, it dwarfs. It dwarfs the Aragon. I mean, just a huge watch. Not for everybody, of course. Unidirectional bezel. Here's what it sounds like. More of a finer sound to it. A little different than the Aragon. You can hear it. And no snug, no play. No wiggle room like some of the other ones there. $280. All right, the final one I want to show you here is a watch by Alexander. Alexander's a newer company, and they're kind of priding themselves on some of their watches making more of a traditional dress style watch, and they make a few diver style watches. This one here is, which one's this one called? I keep forgetting what this one's called. This one's called, hang on guys, sorry man. Let me go here, Alexander, just so we're on the right page here. I always get this one confused with the other one. I think it's called the Olyn, O-L-Y-N. Yeah, I'm not going to look it up. I know it's the Olyn, O-L-Y-N. Kind of a, like, it's an automatic chronograph movement, chronograph watch. 316 stainless steel. Little wiggle in the band, just like any of the other ones. Very similar, I'd say, in styling to your Invicta Grand Diver. You know, different but similar as far as size, and kind of like your traditional men's dress watch slash dive watch. Here's the bezel. Definitely, I'd say of all the ones here, closest to the Aqua Dive, more of a finer ticking bezel, easier to turn, very light. Again, here's what it sounds like. No wiggle on the bezel. Okay, feels good. This watch is powered by a ETA Valjoux 7750. If you're unfamiliar with that, that's one of the finer movements out there. It's an automatic chronograph movement, so you do pay more because it is an automatic chronograph movement, whereas you compare it to, say, something like this. This is a Ronda quartz chronograph movement, so this is definitely a cheaper price point. But this watch here, $2,500. You want to buy this retail? $2,500 to $2,600 is your retail price on this. Now you pay more, of course, because you are dealing with a much, a finer movement, and it is like I said, you do pay more for a chronograph. But remember, we're talking about the bezel movement. So all these watches that I showed you here have a broad range on price. Okay, some very expensive, I would say, some very inexpensive, and when I compare the bezel, let's go from the highest range here to the Alexander and the Invicta, this cheaper Invicta for $64. Okay, here what they sound like. Again, the Invicta has a little bit of play in it, not much, just back and forth. The Alexander is a little tighter, but not much of a difference there. And again, when you feel these watches, you can definitely feel on comparing these two. The Alexander it feels like a much nicer, substantial watch. It's got some nice weight to it. But when I compare the quality of the stainless steel, the Alexander definitely has a much nicer finish, that's for sure. But, when you look at it, I mean, it's not like a night and day difference. I mean, you compare these two side by side, they're both got the brush finish, they both have the mirror polishing down the center. The only difference on the Alexander one here, you have solid links. On this particular watch here, the Invicta, these ones here are folded links. This is something Invicta doesn't do on a lot of their watches. Most of their watches are solid links, but there are some that do use folded. Compared to the Grand Diver, Grand Diver's got all solid links on these. So very, very comparable band. Huge price difference. $150, $2,500. When you feel the weight, yeah, the Valjoux is a little bit heavier. Not by much, though, but you can feel there's a difference there. Band movement, about the same. Finishing, I'd say about the same. I mean, guys, remember, most important thing when you buy a watch, don't buy it for these false ideas, these ideas where people say, oh, the finish is better. Maybe in some cases, if you go extreme cases, like $65 to $2,500, yes, there's going to be a difference. But when you start looking at, remember, there's markup in all these watches. It doesn't matter who makes the watch. There is a profit. Rolex has a profit. They all have a profit. Everybody has a profit. It just depends on how much of a profit. And I'm not going to say which one I think has the highest profit. I will tell you who has the lowest profit, and that is Invicta. I'm sorry, but you get the most watch for your money. Oh, and Aragon. These two are the... I don't know how they can produce this and sell it to you for $150 and make any money. It is unbelievable to me. So guys, I hope you liked that video. I hope that was educational, at least in the slightest. Comparing these, I don't care how, you may be able to sit here and tell me that, you can tell me exactly why a movement is better, okay? Or exactly what makes a movement better based on the parts, based on how it works. Okay, I'll listen, and I'll learn. But if you want to start pointing out stupid, ridiculous arguments for quality based on the finish and the bezel rotation on some watches. Yes, there is a difference, but I showed you a bezel on a $65 watch compared to a $2,500 watch. And although, is there a difference? Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference, but not enough to warrant that price difference. Remember, buy a watch not because don't think you're getting ripped off because you pay more. Remember to buy a watch because you like the watch, because it brings you enjoyment, and because, you know, you're happy wearing it. But just because it's an Invicta or just because it's an off-brand does not mean it's junk or a shitter. So remember, watch snobs, I'm firing back. All right, guys, subscribe to the channel. Have a great day, folks. Take care.